You've worked your whole life waiting for retirement, and then you moved into a 55 plus community. But what if it turns out to be not what you thought it was going to be? Today, I'm going to talk to you about the real reasons some people actually regret making the move to these 55 plus communities. It could be anything from noisy neighbors, overbearing HOAs, or, the dreaded clicks. Maybe, maybe not. But let's talk a little bit in depth about some of these doggone regrets. So, the first thing we have to think about is a lot of people have expectations, but then what is the reality once you move in? You've all seen those glossy brochures and websites and even YouTube videos that I make or other agents or the builder or developer makes, but it always looks different in person. We can't fully portray a community on the interwebs like we can in person. So you should come and at least check things out before you buy. Lots of people, I'm amazed, buy houses from us sight unseen, but we need to manage your expectations. The other thing you might see is the old model home trick. You go into a model home and you think, wow, this is going to be great. Then you decide to build a home and you get down to the final walkthrough. Guess what? It doesn't look like the model. It's not fancy. Maybe it doesn't have all the bump outs and things. Some people have a great disappointment when they realize what they thought they were getting is not what they got. So, again, manage your expectations there. A few other things that might disappoint some people are if maybe your community is brand new, they'll start building houses before the amenities are all finished. You're buying based on a rendering in the sales office. Will it be enough for you? Will it end up not being enough? Some people look at that photograph or room mock-ups and think, wow, this is going to be great. Then you get there and guess what? Your amenity center is the size of a 7-Eleven. That'd be disappointing for me. I've seen those communities in other states. I'm not going to name any names, but they do exist. And I don't need to go to 7-Eleven except to get an icy. I don't want that to be my community center. Very big disappointment for some people. And so you need to know really what you're buying. The other thing that some communities face is a big shift in seasonality. If you are a year-round resident and the place that you bought into, now you find out that everybody leaves in the summer. Some communities are more that way than others. You need to check that out in advance. And if you're already in a place and it's Deadsville in the summer, or worse yet, it's super overcrowded in the winter, that could be a really bad experience. And a lot of people didn't do their due diligence. They got excited about bright, shiny objects and model home centers, and now they're full of regrets. And I hate that for them. Working with my team and I, our job is to mitigate the regrets for you. The next regret I hear from a lot of people, especially in the comments on my YouTube videos, is HOA Overreach. And just people realize after they move in, they hate the HOA. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you're an HOA hater, you shouldn't be in a 55 plus community. Almost all of them, except maybe Sun City in Arizona, Sun City West, they all have an HOA. So you are going to have to live within the scope of the rules. Some are more controlling than others. Many will say you can't park on the street. You can't park on the driveway. Now, others will issue a permit, especially if you have like an extra long truck that won't fit on in your garage or something. But these are not like regular neighborhoods out in the outside world where you can do what you want. If you're a person who says, I hate the HOA, don't live in a 55 plus community. Call me and we'll find you another place out in the regular world so you won't be angry. There might be restrictions on things like putting a game day flag from your favorite college team on your front yard. There might be a restriction on how many plants you can have, what kind of plants. In Pebble Creek in Arizona, for instance, you can't have signs with words like live, love, laugh. This is where love lives, all that stuff, which first of all, I think those signs should be banned because guess what? Newsflash, I hate them. I really hate the words. But I digress. The HOA hates the words too, and they don't want a non-uniform look. You can generally almost always do whatever the heck you want in your backyard, but to keep everything looking super nice and not junky, they're not going to let you have a lot of yard art and ornamental things, and you have to adhere to the landscaping standards. Some people do not want that. Guess what? If you are already in a 55 plus community with an HOA, you should have read the CCNRs not once, but twice, and maybe 3 times to figure out what the restrictions were before you closed on the house. But sometimes the HOA situation may change depending on the board members. I lived in an HOA a few years ago that was a condo, and I loved the people there. But some people made it their life mission to, regulate everything. It really did become a little bit too much for me. And the cons outweighed the pros, and I moved out. Now, if it had been a 55 plus community with all the amenities, I might made a point to stay, but that all changed, and I made a choice to leave, so I didn't have all of those regrets. Now, the next thing, getting back to the HOA, would be actual HOA fees and costs. I want you guys to know that almost always they're going to be a little bit of an increase in HOA fees while you live there. Now, in Arizona, I don't know what it is yet in other states, but in Arizona, the amount our HOA fees can rise per year is capped. But over a period of 10 years, that could be a problem for many people. And about year 8, if you're on a fixed income, that might not be fun. So you need to be factoring that in. Again, read the financials for the HOA before you buy it. Make sure that HOA is solid. Otherwise, you may have things like special assessments because, oh, the golf course doesn't have enough business anymore. So now every resident gets to pay a few $1,000s towards an assessment. Nobody planned on that. And it's really not your fault that the golf course didn't go as planned, but yet it's there. Moving into the community, you've got capital improvement fees. Hopefully, over a long term, that is going to be able to fund all those big community improvements you're going to need down the road. But really, that's a vote against buying into a super old community. We've got some really nice communities here in Arizona that look really well. But if you're moving in there at age 60 and it's already a really elderly community, elderly as far as year built, and truthfully, population, you don't have a lot of people moving in now to fund those reserve fees. That's where you get the assessments. And then about year 8, 9, 10, you're going to be writing a check. That tends to really upset a lot of people. And you may not have the funds for that. Maybe you've had a big medical expense and your nest egg is depleting. It's not a good day when you have to pay a special assessment. Nobody wants that. And it really can be upsetting. You need to make sure that your 55 plus community is well managed, well run, hopefully still being built when you move in. And guys, this is why many people do end up buying a brand new home because there's many years to go of funding that HOA in your lifetime of living there. The next 20, 25 years, they've still got a build plan for that long. If a community is already built, these are all the things we're going to talk about when you call me for our first initial Zoom call. So I don't want you to have those regrets. Let's talk about some of these HOA fees before you move into any particular community. So the next big thing that causes regret and I would say unrest is poor access to healthcare and overall services. It may have been fine when you moved in, or maybe you weren't sick, or maybe you'd never even thought about it. I have a lot of people who never mention healthcare. They only want to know how many pickleball courts does every community in the universe have? Well, that's all good until, you need specialty care. Maybe you get some kind of cancer diagnosis, or you have a fall and need a good ortho guy and you need a good physical therapy place. If that physical therapy is 45 minutes away and you're going there 3 times a week, that's not going to be real fun. It's also not going to be real fun if you live too far out from emergency care. That goes along with fire protection too. Even in Saddlebrook Ranch in Oracle, Arizona, just north of Tucson, guess what? They're building a fire department full size with 2 big trucks and paramedics that'll be there right outside the gate. That really elevates the experience for those residents because when you have an emergency heart attack at 11 o'clock at night, nobody wants to be waiting around for the services to come from 30 minutes away. That could be a little problem, don't you think? That would cause a big regret if you die before the paramedics could get there. These are the things we want to help you check out so that you don't find out too late, like many people have. Basic things, primary care, for instance. I've been told that in the Las Vegas area, it's 6 months wait for a primary care. What if you have ongoing medications that need to be refilled? You just need to go get that done. Are you going to want to call the, emergency room and go in for that? No, you don't. You want to make sure you have good access to primary care. One thing that I recommend to avoid that is if you come to visit an area, don't just take my word for it. Oh, yeah, it's easy to get primary care. Figure out what health network would be near your community. Go on their website. Call them up and say, I'd like to establish care with a primary care doctor. See how quick they can get you in or how long it's going to take. If it's not within 3 or 4 weeks, I might have to choose a different area, different city, maybe a different state. Healthcare is super important. Again, maybe not today, but on the day you need it, trust me when I tell you, you need it. And so that is a problem for a lot of people. Maybe not on day one, but day, 10,000, it might be a problem. You didn't see it coming because, oh, we're healthy and we play pickleball 4 times a week. Well, it's all fun until somebody gets hurt. And then you wish you had a good orthopedic surgery center, that's not 3 hours away. Just be thinking about those things so you don't end up with regrets. The next pain point for a lot of people is good old-fashioned construction fatigue. A lot of people feel like, ooh, new community opening up. I'm going to be the first lot in there. Well, you're going to get a really good deal on your home. However, you're going to be living in kind of a mess for a long time. Trucks coming in and out. Your street's not going to be finished. Your whole unit number or lot filing is not going to be finished. And you probably don't have any kind of amenities yet. Some communities, I'm not going to name names because I think they've resolved this, but in the beginning, they made promises to people that, oh, we're going to have multiple golf courses. And then, oh, yeah, sorry, guys, I think we're only going to do one because they decided to fill up that golf course area, or so some people said, with homes. New people coming in now understand what the plan is now. But those first residents were very unsettled and flat out angry about the fact that the plan changed from what they said they were promised. They went so far as to file a lawsuit. I don't think anything ever happened because maybe they didn't have the proof they said they did, but in their mind, they thought it was going to be different. And what happens is you get tired of paying full price for only half of the benefit. And so keep that in mind so you don't end up like that. Maybe you don't want to be the very first house in the brand new neighborhood. There are new neighborhoods coming to Arizona. Remember, I have the inside scoop, and I think I've learned a thing or two in recent weeks that is pretty exciting. I can't say yet because it's not confirmed, but I've got my suspicions. Do I want to be there on day one? Probably not, but maybe day 301, when some other victims have already taken the hit on the first lots in, then I'll show up and buy a new home. But I'm not going to be lot number one. That's not going to be my claim to fame because that guy is definitely going to have regrets. So call me if you want some scoop, and I'll tell you the way I think things are going to go and maybe how that might help your timing. Okay, again, going back to the kind of broken promises or broken assumptions that a lot of people made. Maybe you move in and you figure out, oh, yeah, this is farther than I thought it was going to be. It didn't seem that far when Shawn and her team were driving us in the car, but then you realize, oh, yeah, it's really far for what your needs are. Maybe you are a person that goes to Costco every single day, or you enjoy shopping every single day. Certain communities are not built for that, you guys. And that's why we really try to assess what your wants and needs are before we start recommending communities for you, because it is a true matching service that we provide. It's not just go open doors for you. We're really going to consult with you so that you will get the best fit for you. And if you're a shopper and you like Costco, we need to figure out where the Costco is for every community that you might want to live in. So you don't move in and then realize we're on the road every single day trying to go get groceries or whatever. For me, doesn't matter because I don't go to the grocery store very often and I don't care. I'm there for the amenities inside the gates. But for some people, if that's your lifestyle, you're going to need to be near those local services. One of our communities, Pebble Creek, is getting a Trader Joe's. Everybody is super excited because they don't have to drive far for their Trader Joe's. I don't go to Trader Joe's because I hate the parking lot, but I love the stuff. But if you are going to Trader Joe's, call me and I'll give you my list, and that would solve my problem. But those kind of things can really upset a lot of people, or maybe they were promised, yeah, we've signed a contract with a grocery store. I bought a house. This was, gosh, almost 20 years ago. It was going to be an investment property and I was going to live there. And there was no grocery store nearby. And the sales rep, it was Richmond Homes, specifically said to me, we're going to be getting a Safeway. Guess what? It's 20 years later. There's no Safeway there. There's a little strip center, I think, still with a Mexican restaurant. And they might have added a Wendy's. No Safeway, you guys. You know I like my grocery stores. If Safeway was my place, which it isn't, I would have been mad if I ever moved into that house. I didn't. I pulled out of the whole deal before it was over because the market tanked, but that's a whole other story. But don't rely on what somebody says because things change. Markets change. National and worldwide events happen. Look what happened in COVID. Everybody who had a plan to do something either stopped the plan or changed the plan. So if things are super important to you to be really close, we got to think about that. The other thing is transportation. If you're a person who flies a lot, you don't want to be too far from the airport, and you want to make sure you've got a way around either with community drivers, which most communities do have, or Uber and Lyft come there. That's important. Also, does Amazon deliver? Does Walmart deliver? We got to think about that kind of stuff, you guys. As we age, I'm not driving to Walmart, but Walmart is my thing. I want to make sure that they're going to be able to deliver my stuff. So let's do our due diligence. So realistically, you guys, if you have regrets, hate to say it, but it's kind of your own fault because you didn't do your due diligence. Please do it, and then you won't be sad. So the next thing is what I like to call lifestyle burnout. And this is common not just in 55 plus communities. This is common with all kinds of people who retire. So much that I'm about to make another video just about this very subject. A lot of people have this big plan for, okay, I'm going to retire, then I'm going to have a party, and then I'm going to move to a 55 plus community. They planned it. They visit 13 states for the last 7 years. Then they move in and boom, there's a crash. There's a letdown. Maybe it's not what you thought it was going to be. Maybe you didn't plan for the fact that you miss your old friends. You miss your old work friends. Maybe you miss your kids. If you're me, I sometimes miss my old restaurants. Isn't that silly? I see the friends on Facebook and talk to people occasionally that I want to talk to, but I really miss some of those restaurants. The bad news, good news is they're out of business now, so I can't even go back for that. But there is kind of a feeling of nostalgia for the old place. And if you let that take hold, you are going to start to get kind of cranky about it and regretful. The beauty of a 55 plus community, and really the reason they're so popular, is people are able to replace that nostalgia with new friends and new things to do. So if you have regrets, call me. I'm going to inform you of how to make that change so that maybe you're not so sad and depressed and maybe a little let down. So, what's the solution for this? Let's end the regrets. Number one, do your due diligence for gosh sakes. Number two, have a plan. Don't just go off half cocked and just buy something without doing all of the research. If you come to YouTube, chances are you are a researcher. Maybe you already made some mistakes and now you want to be moving to Arizona. If that's you, feel free to give me a call at the number below on the screen and let's have a really good conversation about how we can make it better. Maybe I can just give you some tips for staying in your current community where you could be happy, or maybe you just can't do it anymore and you want out and you want to move. I can help you with that too, either in Arizona or other places. I have lots of team partners around the country in all the 55 plus communities. But I think there's a way to avoid this. If you haven't made a move yet, do your due diligence, check things out. Come do a stay and play visit in a community so you can get to know what it's like after hours. Come in the summer so you can see, oh, is it going to be too hot? Side note, it's not as hot as you think. We're filming today. It's about, I don't know, 102 degrees. And I got long sleeves on here and I'm not doing bad at all. So do some homework. Let's have a conversation and see how we can get you into the perfect community with my consulting expertise. And then you can start your retirement the right way without regrets. I'm excited to talk to you soon.